Hey guys, it's Julian, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make a hypnotic minimal house like Apollonia. As usual, you can get the project file and samples of MIDI and presets and all that stuff in this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, check there because it's already available. And yeah, let's get started. So, the first sound that we have here is this little ARP thing, which sounds like this. So, this is actually pretty simple. The way that I made this, you can see here are the notes. It's just playing this little thing where it's going between D and F, and then D again, and then just D, and then F down the octave. So, it's not that complicated. It just adds sort of like an extra musical thing in the background. It's almost like a drone, you know? For the sound on this one, I made it using Operator. What we have here is this little FM sound. You can see we've got two sine waves there. I've got the second one down an octave, and then I've got a pitch envelope on those, and then they're also going through a low-pass filter. And then the only other thing that I have on there inside of Operator is you can see I have this LFO here. This is on the pitch. I've got it up not very high. You can hear it's subtle. When I turn it off, though, it's just like... it's just adding something to make it a little bit more interesting. After that, we have just a bit of chorus, just giving it kind of some dimension, spreading it out a bit. And then we have a saturator. This is really fattening the sound up. Here's without it. And then with it, you can hear, yeah, it really brings the sound out. After that, we have a bit of reverb, just giving it some space. And then I have this drum bus, which is just doing a bit of final, like fattening it up. Here's without this. And then with it, you can hear the difference there. And then the last thing we have on here is just an EQ8 cutting out the lawn. And that is it for that ARP. The next thing that we have here is the pad, which sounds like this. So this is just playing this D minor chord. Really simple, just D, F, and A. And then for the sound on this one, I made it with analog. What we have is two saw waves just going through a low-pass filter. You can see the low-pass. I have the LFO on there a bit, so that's just kind of like, you know, making it modulate a bit, giving it some movement. And then, yeah, we get the amp envelope set like this. And then after that, I just have a bit of vibrato. You can hear without it versus with it. It's just making it sound a bit more warbly. And that is it for inside the synth. After that, I have a bit of chorus, just giving it a bit more dimension. And speaking of that, I also have some reverb. This is pretty much just adding to that a bit, you know, giving it more space, making it a bit wider, a bit bigger sounding. After that, I have a drum bus to kind of fountain it up and give it a bit of warmth as well. You can hear it's like slightly distorting, or I should say saturating, that reverb. And yeah, it's just a nice way to kind of make it not so just like clean and dry. And then the last thing we have on there is just the compressor side chaining it a little bit to the kick. And that is it for the pad. The next thing we have is the bass, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty standard style of bass line you would hear in a lot of these types of tracks. It's just very kind of like long and droning like this, while still giving a really strong groove. If I turn that off, the track has so much less groove. So yeah, and then for the sound on this one, I made it using analog. What we have here is a square wave and a saw wave. You can see we got those set like that, and then they're going into a low pass, and the low pass is an envelope on it. That's what's doing the pluck. And then the only other thing I have on there actually is just a bit of drum bus. I don't even have this one side chained to the kick, just because it's kind of more sitting with the kick as opposed to the other things. Which need to be underneath it a little bit. So yeah, that is it for the bass. After that we have the kick, which sounds like this. So this is a pretty standard, sort of big, like, bump-in 909 style kick. You can see I've got that going through a bit of drum bus. The drum bus is up pretty high. We got that on the hard setting. And I've got the transients up a lot. This is really adding a lot of punch to the kick. And then after that, I just have this EQ8, which is just cutting a little bit of the low mid-range as well as giving a bit of a mid-range boost. This helps with the punch. A lot of the real hard-hitting attack of the sound with these kinds of kicks comes in that mid-range. So boosting that just helps to make it cut through a bit more. And then, like I said, the low mid-range cut is just for some mud. And that is it for the kick. And then I have the kick and the bass in a group together. I do this quite a bit on here. It's basically just sort of tying them together, making the low end sound better and more powerful. Here's without any group processing. And then with it, so you can hear what that does there. So the first thing we have is this drum bus. You can see I got the drive and the crunch up quite a bit. And then I've got that on the hard setting. We got the transients up a little bit as well. And this is, yeah, you can hear what that does. It's just kind of gluing the kick and the bass together and making them sound like one tight low-end section of the track. After that, we have this EQ8, and with this, I've just got a bit of a low-end boost and a bit of a low mid-range cut. Low mid-range cut is just for mud. You know, when you use drum bus and a lot of different stuff like this on all your sounds, you just have to do this because it tends to add a lot of mud. And if you get rid of it with the EQ, you can get the benefits that the drum bus gives, which is like fattening up the sounds and gluing them together without getting that mud. And then, yeah, like I said, the low-end boost is on there as well. It's just making the low-end a bit stronger and a bit fatter. And that is it for the kick and the bass. And next thing that I have here is all of this percussion. I'll just run through it. We got like this hi-hat. Just sort of like a smaller, more minimal house style hi-hat. Then we have this clap. Again, more of like a minimal house style clap, like very much like an 808 or like a 909 type clap that's very cracky like that, but it's a little bit softer. Kind of a bit more body to it. Then like we have the snare that you hear in there. That's just like a little snare sample. Got some delay on it. Then we have like this clap. This just comes in like that, just. You can see I've got the little velocity thing being, yeah, I got the velocity kind of going up there, so that is that. And then the last little percussion we have here is just this little percussion sound, which sounds like this. And then this is just like a little kind of percussive sound that plays there. You know, it's layered over top of the hi-hat. It's on every first upbeat, basically, in each bar. And yeah, you can hear that just adds a little bit more to the groove and makes it kind of more hypnotic, because you're hearing this thing over and over and over again, and it just, you get very lost in these little sounds that you constantly hear throughout the track. Like that. So, yeah. And then I have all that percussion in a group together. Like I said, you know, it's just sort of grouping all these similar things together to make them fit together a bit more and make them a bit more tight. So, here is with nothing on them. And then with everything. So you can hear, yeah, it's really bringing everything out. I feel like this helps to kind of make everything just more even volume-wise as well. Like, yeah, you can hear, like, everything is very even. Everything has its proper space in the mix. And I find it's a lot easier to get this by putting these things in a group than it is by doing it with their volume levels. And as well as putting them in a group and processing them is going to do it a lot more effectively. Like, you could just sit here and try to get the volume levels all even and stuff, but that just, even if I tried to do that and make it sound like what this sounds like, it still just doesn't sound as good. This is a much better way to do it. And yeah, it just really ties it all together. And then the EQ8 here is just cutting off the low end and doing a little high end boost. Here's without it. You can hear it's really subtle. That low end boost is mostly what it's there for, just cleaning everything up. And yeah, so that is it for the percussion, and that is also going to be it for this video, guys. So I hope you enjoyed. As always, make sure to like this video as well as subscribe, and let me know what you think of this video in the comments. Like I said in the beginning, you can get the project file and samples and MIDI and presets and all that stuff in this video in the description. And if you're a patron on my Patreon, make sure to check there because it's already available. Thank you so much, guys, and I will see you tomorrow with another video.